Hi guys, it's Jess. Welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, I'm back to review Season 2, Episode 4 of The Gilded Age. Do not fret, I'm playing catch up because obviously I took last week off. It was Thanksgiving. Your girl needed a rest, okay? And I don't get paid to do this. If you would like to help with that though, slide on over to Patreon and make a small monthly donation to keep this here platform going. So let's dive right in. I will be doing 2 videos this week so that we can catch up for Sunday's new episode. All right, let's get started. So Bertha has invited some of the girls to see a preview of the Met Gang's new opera house, and they really can't even flex that it's not even done being finished, but it's giving opulence, it's giving modernity, it's giving awestruck, right? However, the money is looking funny on finishing, right? But we'll get to that. So Mrs. Winterton is a part of the sneak peek crew, and she's like, I'm glad you invited me or whatever, but my husband is a long-standing board member of the academy, so we will be remaining loyal to them. And little does she know, no, you're not. Because meanwhile, Mrs. Astor has called Mr. Winterton over to her house so that they can discuss the fact that, in so many words, Mrs. Astor thinks that Turner, Mrs. Winterton, is a classless hoe. So in the most waspy way possible, she tells Mr. Winterton, we just don't think that your wife would really be comfortable being around women of this stature, given her past. I hate WASP speak, especially because it still exists now. And instead of people directly saying what is, the truth, they dance around it and try to make you feel like a goofy bitch. And ultimately, Mrs. Astor tells Mr. Winterton, y'all gotta go. Y'all gotta forfeit y'all's box at the academy. And Mr. Winterton is outraged by this. It's like, first of all, what you trying to say about my wife? Okay. And second of all, he said, that's fine. We'll go to the Met and we gonna take as many of the old money bitches with us as possible. Like, y'all can have the academy. We gonna be over here with the new shit. Like, to hell with y'all. And here's my question. What if Mr. Winterton said no? Wasn't nobody gonna fight. What if he had said no? We gonna say, well, yeah, what you gonna do about it? Now, I thought Mr. Winterton was playing coy, just like out of defense of his wife. But Turner really didn't tell this man that she was a lady's maid. So when he gives her the news that, like, girl, we got to give up our box, Turner does not take it well. And she's also just insisting that, oh, I was just a companion for Mrs. Russell. And, Mr. Winterton is like, girl, that's fine. What else you supposed to do? And she's like, you know what I'm saying? I was broke. I needed some money. I was a companion. Bitch, you was a handsmaid. Now, a lady's maid. Now, here's the thing. Why would Turner try to pull a stunt like this down the street from her old employer? You could get away with pretending to be a woman of wealth and of leisure who just fell on hard times in London where don't nobody know you and there's no social media. Why would you think that you could get away with this in New York, down the street from your old employer, and you're in the room with them? And she thought she had that trump card about George. But the thing is, so many other people knew who you were. The house staff knew who you were. Why would you think you could keep this a secret? This was very goofy bitch behavior. But Turner is a goofy bitch. So George was like, bitch, I want my family back. Let me do what I can to, like, fix things. Let me show Bertha, like, bitch, I'm here for you and only you. So George not only pays for the Met to finish their repairs and being built and all the things like that, he also got them a seat at the dinner with the Duke. Now, we love that George goes hard for his wife, and we love that Bertha knows how to connive and scheme and crawl her way to the top. So that's one thing about Bertha. My girl gonna finesse. She's gonna finesse. So at this dinner, she slides to the back, changes the name card so that she can be seated next to the Duke and, schmooze with him because Bertha knows how to be charming. Bertha knows people. And Bertha's like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes for us to be at the top of society, which easily achieved if you can say that you're a part of British aristocracy. This is a really important piece for them to, like, move on up the social circle. So Bertha sits next to the Duke, much to Turner's chagrin, and she is seething. And I love that the one of the, I guess, the servers went to Mr. Russell and was like, there seems to be some sort of mistake. And George was like, my wife is exactly where she's supposed to be. I just love how hard he goes for his wife. This obviously, like, repairs this brokenness in their marriage. And Bertha makes it really clear that, number one, she's kind of cracking under the pressure of holding up this family's reputation and all of the things. And she also tells George, I never thought that you were cheating. My anger comes from the fact that you didn't share it with me, and you ain't gonna get another opportunity to keep some shit from me. So they kiss and they make up. I also love that George is like, oh my God, I missed you. And Bertha is like, I wasn't anywhere. And he's like, but you were. And I love that he could feel her absence. He could feel the absence of her support and love and admiration and all of those things. Like it mattered to him. Rumors are swirling on the old school TMZ. They've gotten news on the wire that there's something going on between Larry Russell and the widow Blaine. And even Aurora tells Bertha, like, girl, people were saying that they might have left the function together, but I'm sure it was just rumors, blah, 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 blah. Of course, Mrs. Russell, like, she plays it cool. She's just like, oh, of course. She immediately sent the widow Blaine a letter, like, you need to slide through and talk to me. And basically she levels with her, like, you have had your fun, but my child is a child. Like, what future y'all really gonna have together? You can't give him an heir. And since he's the only Russell boy, that's a huge priority for Bertha, of course. And she's like, by the time he's in his prime, you're gonna be using a walker, and he's gonna feel too much shame or guilt to leave you. And you can relate to that because you stayed with the old ass man you was married to until he died. And I was like, Bertha, girl, holding no punches. My goodness. But I guess it got through to the widow Blaine because she ends things with Larry, and Larry is utterly devastated because this is obviously like his first love. Do y'all think that Bertha overstepped with this? I'm not a parent, so I can't say. Okay, so the Van Ryns, Aunt Ada said, like, I would love to keep, start hosting again. And I would just like to say Cynthia Nixon is an amazing actor because I've been watching that woman my entire life. And I literally don't see her in this role and see Miranda. I legit see her as Aunt Ada. And I know that's how acting works, but sometimes a person is such a ubiquitous like performer that you can only see them as who they are in real life playing a role. It doesn't feel like you can't separate reality from what you're being shown because you see this person so much in this one role. And I'm really happy that Cynthia Nixon is giving us all of herself in this role. So they are hosting the Reverend and some interested parties where they're talking to people about mission trips, aka spreading Christianity to people who didn't ask for it. And this is an opportunity not only for Aunt Ada and the Reverend to kind of canoodle in the way that people canoodled back then, but this is also an opportunity for Oscar Van Ryn to continue to schmooze with Maude Beaton. So he's going to make a donation to the mission in her name, and then he's also kind of going to help her out with her relationship with her dad because, like, I'm a banker, I can help. He's really like doing what he can to like win this woman's affections. And honestly, this is more than I feel like he was going to do for Gladys. Maybe he really feels more like his back against the wall. His back is against the wall. So Marion attends the mother-daughter tea with Cousin Dashiell's daughter. This is very sweet. And I want to be really clear that I love that she's stepping in to fulfill some of these motherly duties since this little girl's mom has passed. Let me say this though, Cousin Dashiell is giving me a little bit controlling, and his daughter is giving me Victorian Ghost. She is being really, what we would call as Black people grown, quote unquote, and that's problematic. So I'm trying to find another way to say it, but somebody little girl I don't really like. She's pushing too hard for this relationship, and I get it. You don't have a mom, and this is someone who's stepping up in a certain capacity to maybe be a mother figure. So I get that you're pressed, but dial it down, honey, because you scaring the hoes. Cousin Dashiell's daughter is scaring the hoes. I'm scared. Oh, come in our carriage, baby. I got shit to do. Back off. I also love that the Reverend gave on Ada peonies. Those are my favorite flowers. And peonies are in bloom for 5 minutes in the spring, and they here for a short time, not they here for a good time, not a long time. Love peonies. Anyway, so this means that Marianne is getting like another opportunity with the school to teach a more significant um, more significant coursework and not just painting. We see that Ada's relationship with the Reverend is progressing because he asked our homegirl to the church so he could propose to her. Then they was kissing in the church. I said, "Oh, okay, scandal." But this means that Aunt Agnes will be left alone. And a part of me kind of loves that because she's such a crotchety bitch. And it's like you can't push everyone away and then be upset when you're left alone. You don't really do anything to show kindness to anyone except for our girl Peggy. And we always go up for the black girls over here. But Aunt Agnes has to sit here and enjoy her, her lamb dish alone because Marianne is, out here with her social life and her job. And Aunt Ada done made her a man. So we'll see what happens with Aunt Agnes. I hope she doesn't do anything to like sabotage them just out of like because she tried to guilt Aunt Ada a little bit, so I hope she doesn't try to like sabotage this marriage or, because I could just see her doing that. So Peggy is in Alabama with Mr. Fortune. They are staying with Booker T. Washington and his wife, and they have to write this impartial story about Tuskegee, the college, right? Things get a little bit heated at dinner because ultimately we have to keep things in context. Mr. Fortune and Booker T. Washington, both of these men were recently enslaved. So it's one thing to say in modern times that it's fine for white people that's fine for black people to work towards the liberation of black people in partnership with white people because that is the only way that we can move forward. And even that's kind of shaky to say, but those white people were just enslaving them, were just lynching them, and at that time probably still doing so in the South. So Mr. Fortune is like, it's all well and good y'all want to teach these young people these skills and whatnot, but how are you going to teach them how to operate in the white world and in the real world? Are these skills going to be useful for that? And Peggy is kind of like both things can be true at the same time. It takes a little bit of everything. And this is a debate that we're still having as Black people now, because like I said, when Jay-Z signed on to work with the NFL, like with their entertainment branch or whatever, a lot of people felt ways about that because the NFL did not treat Colin Kaepernick well during like his protest. So it's like, do we want a seat at the table? Should we be building our own table? Maybe we should break all the tables down. I don't know, but it is still an ongoing debate about how Black people can further liberate ourselves from generational oppression that still impacts our ability to navigate this country as full citizens today. That's crazy that that's still happening. um, did y'all catch Mr. Fortune looking at our girl though? Did you catch that glance across the table? Then she slid up on him in the morning. Like, I feel like a better way for us to get a full story is to interview the students when Mr. Washington isn't around. So let's, get up and get out and talk to them before them folks even wake up. Mr. Fortune came up to that door, derobed. He knew what he was doing. I don't love the idea of Peggy getting with her employer who is a married man, but I am here for a smolder, for sexual tension. I just don't want them to give into it because, like, I want Peggy to stay focused. And I love that Mrs. Washington is telling her, like, you are an impressive person. It would be great for some of the girls to meet you to see what's possible for Black women. And I think that that is important. Like, even now it's important for us to see people who look like us in positions that we might not have otherwise thought that we could even try for. And I'm sure that was increasingly like all the more important back then when we didn't have social media and all these different initiatives for quote unquote diversity and inclusion. So lastly, for the people downstairs, Jack is making headway with his alarm. It went off. Everybody was upset, blah, 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 blah. Mr. McNeil wants, an answer from Watson. And Watson tells him, listen, I will gladly leave the city and move across the country if my daughter says that this is what she wants. And Mr. McNeil does not take this news well. He's like, so you're insolent and stubborn and all this stuff. And I was just like, baby, if you don't come across the table and slap this man for trying you like that. And he's like, I will go along with what you're saying if I hear it from my daughter, if I know that my daughter is okay with this. And Mr. McNeil is like, she don't want to talk to you. I'm sorry, but I believe Mr. McNeil because Flora really didn't seem very interested in having her father in her life. I'm not a parent, but I do understand his perspective of I would hate to disappear and she feel like it was on me, but I don't think Flora cares. I think Mr. Watson needs to take the money and just go. So that's it for this episode. I will be back with the next episode, probably tomorrow or the day after, and then we'll be caught up for Sunday's episode. So be sure to like and subscribe and comment and share and all of the things. Shouts out to all of our new subscribers. I am 8 subscribers away from having 1,000. So welcome and thank you to everybody. And I will talk to y'all soon.